Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Chris. I'm one of the founders of Black Land Ownership. And Black Land Ownership is a grassroots organization dedicated to centralizing information and resources to encourage and empower people of African descent to buy more land, domestically and internationally. We're taking a three-pronged attack. One is, as a for-profit business, we want to purchase land and help encourage other people to buy land to utilize as assets. Part two is the educational and not-for-profit side of it, to where we get land and we focus on conservation, we focus on environmentalism, we focus on stewardship, we focus on how we learn to utilize the land to the benefit of the community, how to work with communities that already have land and to keep land possession within the families that already own it. And then third is to get involved politically and to start supporting candidates and politicians that are concerned with black land ownership. So when we say that we want to centralize information and resources, we've noticed that it's really difficult if you're interested in buying land to get a comprehensive and concise idea of how to do that. And so we want to help provide resources and information for people where they can figure out what goes into titling, deed, insurance, the architects, engineers, probate, what it actually takes to buy land in this country, what areas are hospitable to black folks, what areas historically have had black communities that are in need of encouragement and support, and what areas are new and open to us, and how to do it, how to get past the barrier of entry, whether it's getting a mortgage, getting a loan, figuring out the cost of rehab, figuring out the commitment and what it requires to purchase land and what to do with land. One of the issues is, what do you do with rural land? Do you want to start a farm? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to have a retreat center? So we're here to help facilitate and provide answers to those questions. When it comes to encouraging and empowering people of African descent to buy land, we looked at it, and worldwide, this is a human rights issue. People of African descent are landless people. Whether it's in America, South Africa, Uganda, you have folks who don't have access to the land on which they live. They are renters. And what happens when you're a landless people? You notice mistreatment and oppression when it comes to a police state. You notice lack of opportunity when it comes to economic access, educational access, healthcare, healthy food. And so we're here to combat that and provide resources to allow for growth and progress. You may ask, well, how'd you all start Black Land Ownership? Basically, I've been traveling through Colorado, Texas, California, and I'm like, look at all this land. Why are we all crammed into cities? And I was asking my friend, like, who owns all this land? And they were like, I don't know. Why don't we look into it? And as we looked into it, we noticed that less than 2% of rural land was owned by black people. And we started looking into the history of that and what are the barriers of entry? What were the things that marginalized us? And we realized we needed to come together and work with other like-minded folks to combat this issue, and that it's systematic. It's been institutionalized racism that prevented the loans, that prevented people from selling us the land, that when they did the Homesteading Act, black people were still slaves, and so we weren't given access to that land. We started looking at what was supposed to happen with 40 acres and a mule and how that was rescinded. We started looking at redlining. We started looking at all these barriers and all these things that were done to take our land away from us, whether it was heirs laws, whether it was partition sales, and we needed to organize to fight that. In terms of financial goals for fundraising, we're still establishing concrete numbers, but if we're looking at property, we're talking $300,000 to $500,000. Now, although Black Land Ownership is oriented to black people having more land, it starts the discussion to see the overlap between the indigenous communities, between other folks that are historically marginalized, whether it's women, trans, queer folks, and to be able to create solidarity, understanding that it's not just about black people, but that it starts with this as our excavation, and then that explores what we can do to make sure there's more access to land open to everyone who's been marginalized. And so by you donating, you're contributing to affecting actual change in your community, in the world, and fighting a history of systematic oppression and a history of systematic racism.